When Caitlin Clark steps onto the basketball court, she carries a blend of unshakable confidence and raw skill that turns heads and drops jaws. She's a tornado of energy, a player with the kind of swagger you usually find in a seasoned pro, yet she's still new enough to the spotlight that she seems to relish every second of it. Her presence feels like a declaration that the sport itself is evolving. And it's not just fans who notice. WNBA players, seasoned professionals who have seen all manner of talent come and go, have found themselves taking her on, testing their own mettle against the fiery young star. But as they quickly discovered, taking on Caitlin Clark can have some instant repercussions. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. This matchup became one of those moments that seemed too perfect, too poetic to have happened by accident. WNBA players, some of the best in the world, saw in Caitlin both a rising star and a young player who dared to challenge the pecking order. Clark is not shy, nor does she shy away from anyone. Her confidence is unapologetic, and her play style, three-pointers from way beyond the arc, flashy assists that leave defenders scratching their heads, and a brazen disregard for conventional limits, only emphasizes her fearless approach. These are moves that, on a different player, might come across as recklessly bold. But with Caitlin, it's pure showmanship, and it just so happens to get the job done. The WNBA veterans, for their part, saw a young player who had barely set foot in the pros challenging her territory. Maybe it was about reminding her of the years they'd put in or the blood, sweat, and literal tears they'd shed to carve their place in the league. They stepped up, but Clark wasn't in the mood to take any lessons or play by their rules. She entered the game like a storm, fast, relentless, and impossible to contain. Her ability to find the smallest gaps in their defenses, her knack for sensing exactly when and where to take the shot, was something that no scouting report could fully capture. What was especially entertaining, and no doubt maddening for her opponents, was how Clark kept finding ways to dismantle every challenge thrown her way. It was like watching an escape artist slip out of every chain, every trap set for her. In one particularly unforgettable sequence, a WNBA guard tried to shut her down with some serious defensive pressure. For a moment, it looked like Clark might finally be cornered. But in an almost cartoonish twist, she managed to dribble her way out with a spin move so quick it left the veteran stumbling, catching her balance, and staring after Clark in pure disbelief. The sheer audacity of her moves had the crowd howling with laughter, gasping, and roaring all at once. The WNBA players, known for their disciplined, refined styles honed over years, were suddenly dealing with someone who approached the game like a playground legend, a kid who made up rules as she went along, and somehow, impossibly, they worked. For the WNBA pros, this wasn't just a friendly exhibition. It was a challenge to their status, an invitation to prove their experience against a young star who hadn't earned her stripes in the league. Their competitive pride was on the line, and they played with a ferocity that would have been intimidating for anyone else. They pulled out defensive tricks, heightened their offense, and even went for tactical fouls to disrupt Clark's rhythm. But somehow, Caitlin's rhythm seemed unbreakable. The more they pushed, the more it seemed to fuel her. She turned it into a one-woman highlight reel, bouncing back from each play with a slight grin, sometimes a laugh, her way of acknowledging, "Nice try, but I'm still here." At one point, a seasoned WNBA player managed to block one of Clark's shots with a perfectly timed leap, and the crowd erupted, sensing a shift. Finally, it looked like Clark might have met her match. But in typical fashion, she responded within seconds, sprinting back down the court and drilling a three-pointer from a jaw-dropping distance. It was an exclamation point, a move that defied logic and erased any momentum the other team might have thought they'd gained. Her opponents could only shake their heads, half in frustration, half in reluctant admiration. Off the court, Caitlin's personality is both infectious and disarming. She's aware of the impression she leaves, but there's no false modesty in her. She owns her skills with a lightness that keeps things from feeling arrogant. If anything, she seems genuinely amused by the frenzy her style creates. It's as though she's wandering along with everyone else. Did I just do that? There's humor in her play, an irony that comes through in her quick glances at the crowd or her teammates, as if she's letting them in on a joke. And that lightheartedness made it all the more frustrating for her WNBA challengers. For them, this was serious business, a reminder that respect was earned, not casually taken. For Clark, it was more like, why not try something wild? As the game wore on, the stakes seemed to shift. What started as a welcome to the league moment became a showcase of Clark's nearly inexplicable ability to stay cool under pressure. The veteran players pulled every move they knew, but she sidestepped them, bounced around screens, and drained buckets with a precision that was almost ridiculous. Each move seemed to spark an instant response from the WNBA players, who doubled down, determined not to let a rookie upstage them. But the harder they played, the more they found themselves at the mercy of Clark's unpredictable rhythm. The final minutes were a blur of movement and high stakes. Clark played with the same relentless pace she had all game, while the WNBA stars seemed to be pushing harder faster, determined to reassert their dominance. At one point, they even managed a double team on her, a desperate attempt to finally slow her down. But Caitlin broke free with a crossover so sharp it left her defenders off balance, sending her to the basket for an easy layup. The crowd went wild, sensing they were witnessing something rare, a moment where talent, audacity, and sheer willpower converged into a defining snapshot of a player. When the buzzer finally sounded, the scoreboard confirmed what everyone suspected. Caitlin Clark had done it. She held her own and then some, showcasing not just her skill, but her ability to challenge even the best. Her opponents, players who had decades of experience in accolades, walked off the court visibly drained. For them, the lesson had shifted. This wasn't just about proving themselves to a rookie, but recognizing that they had faced someone who might change the league itself. Caitlin had become more than a young talent. She was a phenomenon. The crowd was buzzing, fully aware they'd witnessed something special. Clark's performance left an undeniable impression, one that hinted at the future of the game. And for the WNBA veterans, there was a strange sort of karma in how things had turned out. They'd set out to give her a reality check, but ended up on the receiving end of one themselves. They came face to face with the fact that the game they loved was in the hands of a new generation, one that wasn't interested in playing it safe, following old rules, or paying their dues in the same ways. For Caitlin, this was just the beginning. She walked off the court with the same confidence she'd had at the start, perhaps a little more sure of herself, knowing she'd gone toe-to-toe with some of the best and come out on top. She didn't need words to make her point. Her game had spoken for itself in a language everyone could understand, one of precision, audacity, and undeniable talent. In a way, she'd given the WNBA players a taste of their own medicine, an unyielding challenge wrapped in a surprising package. And while the veterans may have been momentarily bested, they left the court knowing they had faced the future of basketball, a future that didn't just play by the rules but redefined them in real time. So when Caitlin Clark left that court, she left behind more than a memorable game. She delivered an unmistakable reminder that the game is as alive as ever, evolving and adapting with each new talent. For the WNBA stars, the instant karma came in realizing that their legacy was safe, handed over to a generation ready to run with it in bold, unpredictable directions. Clark didn't just take on her challengers. She brought them along into a new chapter, one thrilling move at a time. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.